Oh, there we go. Hi, everyone. Yeah, you're gonna steal the show. Everyone's gonna want to see you now, not me. That was the shortest guest appearance of all time. That was my dog, Louie. I'm Tara Wellman, and this is Bird Seeds. Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out episode number 6. Now, last week I mentioned I was going to be in St. Louis, and on Twitter I tried to get Adam Wainwright, who's obviously not pitching right now, to be the first exclusive interview on Bird Seeds and have lunch with me at this little place called Pappy's Smokehouse. Adam Wainwright didn't show up, so this episode got a lot less interesting. I thought we were friends, Adam. I mean, not really, not even a little bit, but we could be if you came on my show. So for next time, I really feel like a Pete Kozma interview is only fair considering how much time I spend talking about him on this show. Thing is, I don't really know how to do that, how to make that happen, but you're the internet, and you make everything possible. So, internet, make this happen. So the rest of the week in the baseball world was pretty crazy. Talk about drama! The trade deadline was full of it. As it pertained to the Cardinals, though, the drama started a little early with Matt Holliday. Again. See, the problem with this getting guys healthy will be just like a big trade philosophy is that when you put a guy back on the field, maybe before he's 100%, and then he re-injures the same injury that it all breaks down really quickly. If it was me, I would have rather not had Matt Holliday out there for another couple of weeks after the All-Star break than to now be without Matt Holliday once again for another couple of months with the re-aggravated quad strain. Maybe it's just me, but I would have preferred taking it a little easy than, well, this. Losing Matt Holliday for the second time obviously impacts the lineup immediately, but it also played an immediate role in what John Mozeliak and company could or would or should do at the trade deadline, which was a complicated enough picture as it was. Then add to that this new wrinkle was only 24 hours away from the deadline, and I would not have wanted to be in that front office. As you all saw, the trade deadline baseball-wide was crazy. Trades that happened and then didn't happen, trades with multiple teams, 13 players involved in one trade, teams that you didn't expect to make a splash, going out and getting big names, teams that you thought were going to be sellers, all of a sudden becoming buyers. And then the Cardinals, the team that's been the best in baseball, but has lost a lot of those significant pieces, added Brandon Moss and Jonathan Broxton. Maybe Brandon Moss was the best they could do in this situation, but it also kind of sounds like Brandon Moss was their target anyway. Totally out of nowhere on that one. And then, of course, to add more pitching, well, I've decided that John Mozeliak, in his immense creativity, which we praise most of the time, is trying to find a way to create negative opponent runs by just stockpiling all of the former closers and, then depending on the starting rotation to do what they're doing. And somehow he's going to get a way to make Major League Baseball credit runs to a team for limiting runs scored. I don't know how he's going to do it, but apparently that's what the plan is. It's okay, guys. Stephen Piscotty and Brandon Moss will save the day. Do you believe that? Actually, Moss might be just fine. He's probably going to strike out a lot, but he'll hopefully hit a lot of home runs as well. He might not be sexy like Carlos Gomez called himself earlier this week, which was weird, but fine. And Stephen Piscotty, well, he's been about as consistent as we could have hoped in his transition to the big league level. He's got a hit in each of his starts thus far and has been a key piece in some of these big innings scoring runs that the Cardinals desperately needed. So maybe the two of them combined will be okay. It was kind of funny, actually. After Friday night's game, Stephen Piscotty told Jimmy the Cat Hayes that it was none other than Pete Kozma who had helped him the most in his transition to big league life. Now, the Pete Kozma fan in me thought that was great. The baseball fan in me was a little concerned that maybe Piscotty should choose a different big league brain to pick. You know what might actually fit into Mo's "it's just like a big trade" narrative? Getting Matt Carpenter back to relevance. I was just about to write a blog post about how Matt Carpenter should probably move back to the leadoff role when Mike Matheny moved him back to the leadoff role. Way to jump in and ruin my piece, Mike. But I think this is the perfect choice, and really the only choice, for a team that desperately needs to score runs consistently. Personally, I love Matt Carpenter in the 2 spot when he's hitting right, when he's going right, when everything else is right. In a perfect world, I love Colton Wong hitting first and Matt Carpenter hitting second to drive him in. But nothing about this lineup right now is perfect, especially for Matt Carpenter. He needed a way to simplify his approach, to get out of his own head, and to not try to be the replacement for Matt Holliday or to carry the weight of the entire team trying to be the best hitter on the team. So hitting him leadoff simplifies all of that. Get on base. Plain and simple. Now, he's done a lot more than that with the freedom of this simplified role, and that's exactly what I had hoped would happen. It happened a lot quicker than I anticipated it would, but I think that Matt Carpenter should probably hit leadoff like for the rest of all time. In just 2 games since moving back into that leadoff spot, Matt Carpenter has 6 hits, 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 5 RBI. Dude is killing it. And for the first time in a really long time, he looks comfortable. He looks like he's in his zone. And it's been so long since we've seen that. The dugout reaction to the first of those 3 home runs the other night was priceless. And I think it just goes to show how much these guys try to will each other out of a slump and how much they all know that as Matt Carpenter goes, so goes the offense. Now, Carlos Martinez has typically been kind of the key piece of these celebrations, or at least the most entertaining piece. This time, though, he got a little help from my guy, Pete Kozma, with the Gatorade cups of water, which he then threw in Matt Carpenter's face. Is this a new thing? Because then Martinez did it the next time on a home run. I don't know what that's all about. I actually love this about Carlos Martinez. He's young, he's energetic, he's goofy, he keeps things fun and light. This team doesn't have a whole lot of that, especially sans Adam Wainwright, so it's nice to see. But that brings me to something else about Carlos. In Game 1 against the Rockies, he kind of lost it. He was mad, he was worked up, he yelled some things, he gestured some things. He got a lot of people really upset, and that's kind of what his critics were worried about coming into this season, not only from the pitching perspective, but just from that emotional perspective that kind of became this storyline without really being a storyline. Well, we finally saw it developing in that game. From the looks of it, he was quickly and definitively corrected when he got back to the dugout. He's young, he's still learning how to be a professional. Was that okay or acceptable or good in it? No, not at all. But am I jumping off the Carlos Martinez bandwagon because of it? No. This is part of who Carlos is, and he has to learn from it and be better from it, just like he has with every other bit of #adversity that he's had to work through last year and this year. It's funny, with all the complaining that Cardinals fans do, you would think that they're not still the best team in baseball, but in fact, they are. By 5.5 games over the Pirates, the next closest team is the Kansas City Royals, but that's an American League team. We don't care right now. The Cardinals, however, do have a lot of work to do. The Pirates went out and made themselves better at the break, picking up some pitching, some hitting, some young guys, pieces to make them better down the stretch. The Cardinals didn't do a whole lot of that, but again, if Matt Carpenter does what he's capable of, it certainly changes the dynamic of that lineup. And who knows? John Mozeliak is not necessarily done. He's pulled off late season trades before, so we'll have to see how that all plays out. Nevertheless, the Cardinals finish up the series with the Rockies, then go back on the road for some more NLC action with the Reds and then the Brewers. Two series that, well, again, the Cardinals on paper should be able to handle, but that doesn't always work out in real life. And that brings me to this week's cast question. With Matt Carpenter now hopefully firmly planted in the leadoff role, who hits second for the St. Louis Cardinals? It's been kind of like musical chairs the last few games, but if you're choosing, who is it and why? Let me know and we'll talk about it next week on Birdseeds.